The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hi, good evening. Christine Joanna Hart here. I'm bringing you my show from London. I'm not actually from London. I'm outside. I'm out in the country now. I forgot. I'm bringing you my show tonight. I'm a little bit exhausted, but I'm trying to wind it up to give you a interesting show this evening. I might have a guest later. I might be bringing back Holly Baglio, who was with me last week, and I know the trolls will be really happy about that. I actually got some trolling underneath the show that was hung last week that I did with Holly. Such a shame, but there we go. This does happen. I don't know why it does, but there it is. It's a shame, really, isn't it? So she will be coming on in the second hour, hopefully, if this line holds, because I had it earlier and it dropped. So fingers crossed it holds. It seems like it's holding. No doubt somebody will come up soon and say, I can't hear you. It's dead air. But at the moment it's holding. So great. So I'll just catch you up with my life at the moment. I looking for somewhere else to live. Where we are was only ever temporary. So I'm moving back to where I was before because it's near my son's school. So, but moving back with a clear head that's been, it's been lovely being in the countryside, but it's too far to drive in every day. It's quite overwhelming. In some kind of way, I do like it because it's quite good to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's good discipline, really, and making yourself go to sleep at night. And it's quite awesome to leave in the dark. I go out to do the school run and it's pitch black. And in some kind of way, it's quite exciting, speeding down country roads. Just for the school run, doing a sort of 2-hour journey every day. And that's only one way. And then, of course, as coming back, I do stay around the area during the day, go and sit in the gym and, send out my CV everywhere. So that is what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm going to have to move. Yeah, so that's where I am at the moment, and it's all dealing with landlords that are quite tight-fisted. And I just learned that I have a septic tank in the garden, which is where all the poo goes. It doesn't go anywhere. It just sits in the back garden. It was backed up, and I had to spend my money on sort of draining it. And I've only been here like 2 months, so how can I have filled it up? I felt quite bad about that, but the landlord said, no, it's in your contract. And it's not in my contract, but seemingly a certain sentence covers that. I mean, they're quite sly, and I do let it get me down, that kind of dealing with people that are money grabbing and sly, and they think it's good business. And especially landlords and landladies are getting like that now, and they're making a lot of money, and their investments have gone up. And I wish that they would be more like human beings, because people are paying high rents, and we're not there as objects to be squeezed, but that is what they're doing at the moment. And I do let it get me down, and then I thought, well, no. So I did meditation around it and prayer around it, and I loved myself, made sure I was feeling loved. I got some rose oil, rose essential oil, mixed it with some almond oil, and sort of put it on my chest area and did some deep breathing. And it's their problem. They'll get it coming back to them in karma. So I don't really have to get involved. I can just keep my distance from it and deal with it that way, because you can't really change these people that is how they are, and there's no point in getting really upset and take it personally. They actually don't really see other people as human beings, so I might as well be a cardboard cutout for all he knows, and I'm pretty sure his wife is behind it. So it's not really personal, but it is bad. Earlier on in the week, I was meeting up with a journalist I used to work with on the Sunday Mirror, to give him these remittance advices for when I worked for the Daily Mail, just because, we're living in quite an isolated house, and every creek, I think it's the people from Hacked Off, and, to get these damn remittances so they can sue the mail. And so I thought, well, I'll give them to them, I'll sell them to them just to get them off my back, because every little squeak outside, I'm up at the window, and it's no way to live, really. And so I agreed to meet this guy, Graham Johnson, who I used to work with, and this sewage problem occurred, and it was really bad, and I have to obviously put my son first, and I got somebody booked to come out, and they came out straight away, and they rang me just as I was supposed to meet Johnson, and I just turned the car around and drove out to where we live to meet this kind of lorry that sucks this stuff up. It's really quite weird, actually. The guy was quite interesting and unusual. It's really kind of a weird thing. And I didn't, my son comes first before everything. And this guy Graham, he rang me, he threatened me, he threatened to come around my house and grab these invoices, and in a really nasty way that I have on tape. And it was really aggressive, and I burst into tears. I was really scared, and I was really, really angry. So I reported him to the cops about it. They obviously can't do anything because he hasn't done anything to me. But I just feel under threat because of these hacked off people who are just so rabid and crazy and obsessed. And but at least it's been heavily reported. So if anything happens to me, then everybody knows to look in their direction. And I wouldn't put it past them just to come around and beat the shit out of me just because that's the way they are, and they don't like they don't like their will broken. But the fact is, I haven't got these remittance advices. They were given to a friend of mine. They said that they burnt them because they said it wasn't a good idea. Then turned out it was stolen. They were stolen by a friend of theirs. So they have completely gone, most of them. I had 11 left, and now I've given them to a friend of mine, so they're not actually on the premises. And if Hugh Grant wants to come to me and say to me, right, I want those invoices, those remittance advices, then I'll give them to him. I won't charge, and he can have them. I'm not holding out. I am not trying to hide anything. But what I will not put up with is someone threatening me and threatening my safety and saying they're going to come round and kick my door down. I am not having that. I'm really quite angry. I haven't got in touch with my anger over it yet, but I will, because I don't like men that try and intimidate women. And this particular person is competing with me because when we both worked on Fleet Street, I was a superior investigator. I'm unemployed, kicking around, and he's getting 5 grand a month from Max Mosley to investigate the press and grass up everyone he used to work with and pay people that are sort of has-beens, like me, for instance, and Greg Miskew and Glenn Mulcair. So this is what he is doing to try and get at people like Paul Scott and Dave Dillon and, everybody that's sitting pretty. So, talk about a bitter man, but he's kind of acting as if he's doing it because he's one of the good guys. Nope. You're doing it because you're bitter. And you know what, Graham? If you come near me, it's been public, it's been reported, it's been on the radio now. I'm going to blog about it. I'm going to put it in my book. And you will be the first person that the police will look at if I am harmed in any way, shape, or form. Okay. So you best stay the hell away from me. Yeah, so other things that are going on. I had a past life regression. It happened spontaneously, and I have spent the afternoon with a spiritualist woman who has been helping me deal with the emotions that it brought up. So it was all very, it kind of happened spontaneously. Coincidentally, I have been to this place before. It's a shop in the town where I used to live. I don't know what it's called now, but it was another place. There's an American woman running it, and I used to go along to meditation. And then I went again, and there's an American woman there, really, really nice. And she regressed me. She took me back to a past life, and I was a Native American Indian, and I had a best friend, a guy who was a best friend, and nothing special about it. Just there were certain people in my life now that were there in that life, and this this man who was a spirit guide to me, I had known him in that particular life. So that was quite that was quite interesting. And when I was driving along, I had a big recall about something that this man had given me, and it was a really nice feeling to remember such a deep friendship, because in this life I don't think that I have anything really, perhaps a little, no, I don't. Actually, I don't have anything to match that relationship that I had in that particular lifetime. And what was important about remembering that lifetime was just that relationship, and just that feeling, that bond. I was male in that past life. He was male, and just that depth of friendship was startling to me. And I wish I could have that in this lifetime. I haven't got it, but it it was interesting to feel it, and it was warming to know that this particular person who was now obviously in spirit was somehow rooting for me, even though I don't really feel him close anymore, but I know he is somewhere. I know people after death go to different levels, so sometimes you can feel them, other times you can't. They're not always hanging around this level, which is quite hard, I think, to linger around. So that's unfortunate, but so I'd had that one experience, and then the second experience is when I was listening to James Casbolt speaking. He was actually speaking with Max. I think it was a Kerry Cassidy interview, and I was listening to that one night in bed, and I was just about to fall asleep, and I think they'd finished talking, and I wasn't particularly interested in what they were saying actually, but then all of a sudden I felt a pressure on my forehead, like the third eye area, like almost like a bang, and then my head went back, and then I remember my head landing on a boxing ring, and just it landed on the bottom of a boxing ring with a smack, and then I heard the bell ring, and people were cheering, and somebody dragged me up, and they were slapping my face, and they said, "What's wrong with you? You all right?" And they were looking into my eyes to try and bring me to. And then the next thing, I was in a dining hall, and we were eating what seemed like meat but wasn't meat. It was kind of offal, and I complained about it to a guy who's sitting next to me, and he said, "Shut up, you'll get into trouble." And basically I was in a camp, Treblinka, and I managed to work that out by asking questions, but someone told me to watch it, and was it the bump I'd had on my head that had affected me? And so over periods of time, I did have that recall of that particular life, and sort of different flashbacks to that. And sometimes it wasn't doing really nice things, but there were also memories of being in Wewelsburg Castle and doing these sort of like rituals to bring open portals to bring through entities, and we were letting these entities come inside us, and it was all very exciting. And then everything went dark, everything went black. I think it was, I don't know whether it was I was wiped out or some, everything seemed to be wiped out, and that was the end of that. And it ended very quite suddenly actually. So that was that particular memory, and I was quite interested because I'd then I think it was through talking to Miles Johnson about that, that he said that there was a Nazi link with the Monarch program. So I was really curious to find out what that was. And I had asked James Casbolt in a letter what it was, and he said, "Oh, forget that, it's irrelevant." And I thought, well, then he went on about that Maitreya thing, which I'm not interested in. But it is really important, the Nazi link, and I don't really know what that is. And it was the other night, and I think I'd had Holly Baglio on the show, and she had mentioned Mengele and said he was her handler, and I had kind of ignored that because I thought, well, that can't be true because she's young and he is dead, and so how would that happen? But I don't know if that triggered something in me. Um, it's odd because I was reading the comments. There was a lot of trolling underneath the YouTube, and I remember thinking when I was going off to sleep that there was a lot of bad visions, and I remember thinking, "Oh, I bet that's me being attacked over doing that interview." And I was quite annoyed because I was quite tired and I was hoping to get to sleep. But when you're attacked like that, you can't get to sleep because basically the mind won't sort of let go and let you get into sleep. It's they sort of take your consciousness, and so you can't sleep, but your consciousness goes to another place, and then you're busy seeing what they want you to see. And I really hate it. It's I know James, gosh, I can't remember his second name. James Bartlett. Is it James Bartlett? Gosh, I can't remember his second name. James, the guy that I really like. He said that he that's called astral detention, and I really don't care for it actually. And so I had that happen, and I was quite annoyed, and I thought, oh, that's over that thing I hung because I called it two super soldiers talking, and I did it deliberately because I knew there'd be shit over it. So I thought, well, it's going to be shit over it. I might as well really wind people up. So I called it that, knowing that there would be a little outcry from the usual corners. So I did it deliberately. And of course there was. So then I had the demonic attack, of course, which comes from these people as well. And then it was odd. I pushed past the demonic attack. I prayed around it, and then I found myself in a room, and I was in the body of a young boy, and I was face to face with Mengele, or what I believe was Mengele. Actually, now I'm thinking, how did I know it was him? It was a like he was German and he had glasses on, and gosh, now I'm thinking I haven't even looked up this guy's photograph, but it seemed like it was a German doctor, and he was doing things to me and my head, and there was a light explosion in my head, and it really was really, really painful. And he said to me, I can't have been more than 11 or 12, and he said to me, um, in German, is that, but I understood it obviously, even though I can't speak German. I am putting a needle in you. Do you understand what's happening? It's electric shock. So there was an electric shock attached to the needle, and he was injecting it into me, and it was giving me a white blinding shock. And he did that to me regularly, and I had to go to a room where he did that. And yeah, it was just really, really awful. And then he said to me, if you carry on the way you are, you're going to be my favorite. And I remember being really pleased, and I really hoped that I would become his favorite. And then I was back there another time on a different occasion, but it kept going into these different times where he was doing um, other things, but mostly it was these injections, these needles that had an electric current running through them. And then he would ask me what effect it was having on me. And it was just beyond painful. It was like lightning going into me. It was really, really, really horrific. And I don't know whether this is demonic attack or whether it was past life recall, but it felt a bit like past life recall, actually. Um, I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because what happened next? So he was doing that, and then he said, "You're my favorite. You know, you're my favorite." And I remember feeling, I suppose it's in that way you feel when there's an abuser around and when you're in the power of an abuser. I mean, I know that because this lifetime I've certainly had that where you try and please them. I remember my brother, he bullied me most of my life, and I used to try and please him just to remain safe and to not get a punch. And so I know that feeling that when you've pleased the abuser and it sort of gives you like a lift, but it's not really like joyful. It's just kind of an odd feeling. And I sort of felt that, and I was pleased that I was his favorite. And then he kind of put his hands either side of my cheeks and kissed me. And he said, if you carry on being my favorite, there'll be more of that. And I think he meant more, like more closeness. And then I had a memory of a girl, and the girl was called Clara, and she was in a like a brace. She had like a head brace, and it was around her face and her head. And what he did with her, he turned the screws tighter and tighter. So every time she came back to his place where he was like a doctor's surgery thing, she got tightened up, and she was there, and I told her, I was pretty sure I was this boy, and I was a German boy, and I think the memory I had of being fighting in the boxing ring, this was me as a boy, but I didn't have parents, and so I, for some reason, was chosen for these experiments. But I was the same figure. I was this German, um, roped in with these Nazis, but they were experimenting. The doctor was experimenting on me, using me for experiments. And I said to the girl, Clara, who was also German, and with me for some reason, that I didn't like the pain. And she said, just keep saying, is this not really happening? It's not really happening. It's not really happening. I said, oh, I'll say that then. And then I told her that the only way I got through it was that angels came to me. And I said to her, do angels come to you? Angels come to me at night. Do they come to you? And she said, no. And I felt sorry for her. And and she said to me, don't tell him, don't tell him. And I said, well, I want to tell him. She said, don't tell him because he will make them go. So I kept my promise to her, and I didn't tell Mengele, I didn't tell him about the angels. And I just kept going in and getting my electric shocks and injections of this electric shock. And then eventually he began to rape me, sodomize me, and he did that often after the torturing. And each time he said I was his favorite, and that went on and went on and went on and went on. And the pain was just really bad. And then this is a really, really lucid dream, like a waking dream. My eyes were shut, and then I opened my eyes and sat up, and the boy was still very much with me. And that's when I knew for sure that it was past life recall. But I really didn't want to awaken that like inside of me. Like, how can I put it? Because I'm not really au fait with past life. You're supposed to remember your past life, bring up anything that might be painful, and kind of integrate it. But I didn't want to integrate this because that boy, even though I'm sure it was me, those memories, it's not just that the memories were so horrific, but the sadness involved, the sadness, and not the fear, there was masses of fear, but what is un gosh, what cannot be integrated, I feel, is the sadness. So much sadness um, for that boy's life and what went on and what happened to Clara. One day I went in the office to get my torture, and Mengele told me that Clara had died. The brace had been tightened and she hadn't died from it. And I remember thinking that the angels had come for her, that my angels, that she had finally seen them and they had taken her and she was safe. And so I kept that close. And I somehow felt that I had somehow integrated Clara somehow. Now, I don't know if perhaps I was a twin and she was my twin. We were together. I don't know, but I felt almost that I had integrated Clara as well, which didn't make me feel great because it is more sadness. And so yeah, I spent the day, because this is just last night, I spent the day just integrating this stuff. And I went to this spiritualist shop where this past life woman that does past life regression, what she actually does is try and get to it. And she said, well, you've got to it. And people spend years trying to do that and lots of money, and you should be really pleased. But I wasn't really pleased. And she said she could feel it, this World War II stuff. She said it's all around you and it's just you're drenched in it. And she said, I can feel it. And she said, I'm getting really horrible images. I said, well, yeah, I've seen them and it's really bad and it's too much. And she said that what we go through in our past lives affect this life. And it had ruined my trust of life and the world, and I needed to bring it up inside me and heal it and face the memories, see more of what went on, and just really heal it, and then kind of breathe in a colored light, breathe in a pink or blue light, and just kind of let it go and then kind of push it out to sea, realize it's over and those memories are gone now, and just really, really heal that past life, which, yeah, so she was a lovely woman. And actually, when I came out of there, I did feel a lot better, and I thought it is in the past. Obviously, it is the past, and it can be healed, and it doesn't have to be something that I kind of sit with and maul over. But it did then. But she said to me, "Oh, you've been incarnated and incarnated and incarnated." I said, "I know I have, but so have other people." She said, "You've come around a lot," and I said, "I know." Not really that happy about it, actually. And I'm just wondering, what is the point and what can you learn from it? And I was looking back. I spoke to Miles and asked him about it, and he then did his usual, "Oh, if you don't know, stop pretending you're thick." And I wasn't. What he doesn't realize, he spent his whole life researching different things, and his head is full of knowledge, whereas I've spent my life getting over my childhood abuse. So I have spent my 20s and my 30s getting over what was done to me. So I didn't have time to look round the world and to find out this, that, and the other. So my general knowledge is about the same as some woman on a council estate who smokes cigarettes all the time and sort of talks about Jeremy Kyle in it. Yeah, that my general knowledge is equivalent to her. So while I sound like a really intelligent woman and I worked on Fleet Street, doesn't mean that my general knowledge levels are really, really high, because I have been massively distracted getting over memories of horrific memories, of my father's sexual abuse and group sexual abuse as a really small child, and my mother's violence towards me, and violence and sexual abuse from my brother, which is really quite hard to get over. So I spent 2 decades doing various therapies and really taken up with that. It does take an awful lot of time. It does take decades to get over childhood abuse. So when he says, "Oh, stop pretending you're stupid," I'm not. Why would anyone pretend they're stupid? I'm certainly not. So I didn't get much sense out of him. He did mention Project Ibis. So I managed to today Googled Project Ibis, and I researched that, and certain things that James Casbolt had said about Mengele and this project, but again, it didn't really make sense to me, and I don't really understand the link between Mengele and the Monarch projects. I did read a bit something that said children from Roman Catholic orphanages have been used in this project. And I was in a Roman Catholic orphanage, and it was in there that I got, the programming, because we went back for these parties, and the family I was put with were linked with the military and the Vatican. And so it was the Roman Catholic orphanage that was the root of the evil, the Crusade of Rescue. Uh, so what is going on, and what is the link with Nazis? And it said something about the Mengele had become Dr. Green, and Dr. Green worked at the Tavistock. So I'm wondering, because my orphanage was at St. Charles Square in London, I was wondering, but then surely didn't Mengele go off to live in Brazil, because surely he was wanted. So I'm really confused about what happened, and I'm confused about what has gone on. And I think they were saying that certain bloodline, which is called blood prime, which is an Anuki blood, is what is used again and again. And of course, if I was a German, then I was an Aryan. So obviously, I have that kind of blood. And I think what they do, they try and get you in a kind of net each time you come back. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. But then I don't know what would be the next step. What would be the next step to kind of climb out of the net? I don't think I'm in the net anymore, but to try and get some kind of I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what's going on at the moment. A few people said to me about last week's show that I keep saying that the third dimension has had it now, and there's no point, that it's been totally in the belly of the beast, so to speak. And they're like, no, the fight is still on. I really don't feel that the fight is still on. If you look at what's going on, it seems pretty awful, actually. Even though I'm not suffering at the moment, you can certainly just turn the TV on and see what's going on, and it's not great. So I don't know, but that is my view. And my view is that we have to try and connect with other levels, and of course, do our best here. Do our best if we're not suffering to kind of get that spiritual connection, and to look around and see who we can help, because there's always someone that needs help. So that is what I'm doing at the moment. But I do feel confused about these Project Ibises and this Mengele guy and what's happening. So if anybody's listening to this, if anybody has stayed with it, I would be really grateful if you enlightened me in the comments underneath, or contacted me on Facebook. I'm Christy Ann Hart. So if you look up Christy, then ANN, Christy Ann Hart, you'll find me on Facebook. I did change it to a shortened version of my name, which is Christine Joanna Hart, and I tried to change it back on Facebook, but it, alas, wouldn't let me. So that was really annoying. So, right. Holly, who was my guest last week, has asked if she can come back on. So let me see if I can add her. I'm not sure if I can, but let me see. Let me see if I can bring her on 1 second. So we're nearly coming into the second hour. So let me see if I can bring a guest on.
Hi,
If
Christine.
oh, hello.
How are you?
Oh, hi. How are you? Thanks for coming on. It's Holly Baglio, everyone. If anybody's out there listening right now. So, oh, good to see you, Holly. How are you keeping?
I'm hanging in there. How are you doing?
Well,
Is my
not.
con
Oh, thank you. Not awfully great. I don't know if it was you that triggered the Mengler stuff. I mean, gosh.
Probably? I'm sorry, Christine. I apologize if I triggered you.
Oh no, no, I know you didn't do it deliberately. I know you didn't do it deliberately. But it was weird too, and I was just saying, I mean, I still don't understand the link between the Monarch projects and Mengele and the Nazis. So I don't know whether you can explain that.
I'll be honest, I can't. I'm still researching and studying myself.
Hmm.
Uh, I just believe that Mangli is one of the creators of the Monarch Project. Like from my limited understanding right now, and it's really limited, and I'm probably wrong, but Mangli created all these projects that we were put in to become, you know, assassins, prostitutes, soldiers, what have you. But he created them all. So
So does that mean that he looks over them, kind of like a little sort of head demon that he kind of presides over all of them. Do you think that that's possible?
yes, I do. I had someone talk to me a while ago that said a lot of women that were under Joseph Mangley's control and his projects that they would call him daddy.
Hmm.
Um, and even no matter what, they always loved him. Um, I don't remember being raped by him. I could have been, but I personally, I call him Joseph Mangley. I can't stand to use that word daddy, quote unquote, but he's the one that put us in these projects. He's the one that determined everything from what I understand.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I had the memory of the past life, which might be the one before this one, I'm not sure. The regression therapist who I spoke to today said she thought it was pretty recent. I was raped by him. I was a boy, so but yeah, I was raped by him. So repeatedly. I mean, what kind of a piece of shit is that? I mean, oh, I don't know. I mean, where did he come from? I haven't really had time to look into it so much or look into him, which I will be doing. But I mean, where did this piece of shit come from? I don't think he just, according to Fritz Springmeier, I think he was part of the Illuminati.
I I think Joseph Mangley was born normally like you and I, and he chose his path and he got himself into the occult world or satanic world,
Hmm.
rather. And him and Hitler, from my understanding, found a bunch of technology, and that's what they're in World War II, when they were storming all these different countries, they would go and do research. This is coming out all wrong, but they would go and do research into the Egyptian pyramids and other ancient alien architecture, and they would recover information by reading the hieroglyphs, or if there was still something left inside of those pyramids or tombs or ancient architecture, they would bring it back and study it. And they took all of that information, and from that, they have life extension.
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's okay because if you look at the Monarch program and how it splits the person, it's quite kind of like a black shamanism, isn't it? And it's all very because I was quite when I was learning about it, I was like, wow, this is like quite, it's shamanic, and you have to understand that world to kind of see, what they do because they literally go in to the astral and get the different parts of people and it's dark magic, isn't it? Which actually, when Vice were filming and they said, what has black magic got to do with mind control? Actually, I couldn't get a word in because someone else is speaking, even though they were supposedly interviewing me at the time. But it has everything to do with it because it's, looking up parts of people and keys and all sorts of stuff. Spells,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel, but this is my opinion, so it's not fact. I feel besides Joseph Mangly being able to walk on this earth and have his life extended with that technology, I also feel like he's an ascended master above me because I've had Joseph Mangly, I believe, approach me in the astral world and actually stay with me for a few weeks in the astral world. So
Well, that can't
I,
have been fun because I did feel his spirit, and it's not great, is it? I mean, it's real strong, isn't it?
yes. Oh, yes, definitely. When I had an experience with him, I definitely listened to him.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do yeah, you would do. The only one I think sort of is near that is a bit that Michael Aquino, but he's really a lot weaker than Mengele, who just seems to be so potent, so sort of it's almost like multi-dimensional, you feel that going on, which I suppose probably he has become very strong on different levels. Do you think he might be some kind of antichrist born into our realm or something like that?
Joseph Mangly or Aquino?
Oh,
Which
not
one?
not Aquino. No,
Okay,
Mengele.
I'm sorry. All right.
No worries.
I think that he does have a similar like Antichrist spirit. I believe that he's trying to pull uh, demonic entities that are way evil into this world
Hmm.
because his agenda is different than any of ours. They're so sold out in this satanic world. They think that they can, open up portals and bring in Satan. They can bring in, what are the names of the other gods? Forgive me, they're eluding me. But you have CERN's trying to bring in Shiva. Um, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Oh no, that's okay. I didn't know that. Yeah, they have got a lot of power though. They're not just like Earthlings, I don't think, that have got power. Mengele. I think that he is, he has got almost like a godlike power, certainly
Yes.
coming very near to it, hasn't he? It's sort of it's not it is overwhelming. It is a massive evil. And I think that's what I felt today walking around, not only remembering that being victimized by him, but just being in the presence of someone that evil. You just want to kill them, but then you feel that, oh, if you kill their body, that they'll still go on and, because they're alive. They're alive. It's almost like they're alive everywhere. They've got that sort of omnipresence kind of thing,
Yeah.
which is quite horrible. Like kind of you smash a mirror and it's sort of in bits and the bits will reform, It's almost like he's like that, which is kind of horrible, really.
Yeah.
I mean, where did he come from out of the Nazi party? Did he just I'm gonna have to um read. Did he
I
and
have to research and study where he came from. I'll be honest, Christine. I'm
I
sorry.
wonder, did they get somebody and he had something, whether he is actually a demonic entity that maybe, walked into someone's body. You never know that, something like that. Because they were fooling around with that kind of stuff, weren't they? Definitely.
Right? He could have, Joseph Mangly could have been created himself just the way he tried to create you and I, so to
Yes.
speak. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And interestingly, my past life being affected by him, and then this life being in a Catholic orphanage and being affected through those projects. I mean, do you think that he has people that he targets over and over through our different incarnations.
Yes, I do believe that.
Do you remember any of your past lives?
Um, Bits and pieces, but they're fragmented. I'm still putting them back together. I have memories of being in a different, like, I believe in Jesus, not reincarnation, but something is going on here that's fishy. I remember being in a different time period. Like if you go back 2,000 years ago and you're wearing sandals and that kind of clothing, I remember walking around like that. There were no cars. It was way different. But then at the same rate, I remember a bunch of men grabbing a hold of me and bashing me and raping me on top of a rock and leaving me for dead until someone else came to get me to nurse me back to health. But that's, a different time period. And I don't exactly know how to explain that to others. But I have those fragmented memories. I just didn't get there with them or touch on them yet.
Yeah, they're odd. Yeah, I had them with the German life. I just last night had them, more intensely, really so intensely that I recognized it, as myself. And it is quite horrible to have to integrate that, especially when it's, involving something like that and involving, being in touch with such a dark force. But it does affect this current life, doesn't it? Our past lives do affect this current life, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Did I ever tell you about my astral experience with Joseph Mangley? Because he's a horrible, rotten, disgusting man.
Mm,
But my astral experience with Joseph Mangley was actually nice, as odd as that sounds.
mm. Oh no,
So,
I understand what you mean. What happened?
well, I believe it was back about the year 2008 or near there. And I only want to talk about Joseph Mangley. I believe him and another super soldier showed up to
Hmm.
me in the astral world, and they took me to Anita Fuentes's ministry. And I didn't want to go in. I didn't want anything to do with the ministry. I wanted to stay with Joe the mechanic, or at least that was what I called him, was Joe the mechanic, because he'd always fix me up. Um, Joe took me into a room, and I don't remember what happened. And then he brought me back out, and he stood me a second time in front of this ministry online. And when we were in front of this ministry, between him and I were a bunch of weapons. I'm leaving a lot of details out, forgive me. But between him and I were a bunch of weapons, and he said, if you come back, I will use them against you. You have to leave, Holly. And I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to go. I ended up giving him a hug goodbye. I walked away. And then for 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that, I believe that Joe the mechanic stayed there and watched me as I walked into the ministry and started to get saved to Jesus. And then one day came in the astral world where I went back to that same place that Joseph Mangley and I stood and the other super soldier was. And I was okay that they were gone.
Mm,
I know this sounds sick, but I didn't want to leave. And
mm.
that may be Stockholm syndrome.
Oh, I hear you. I have that big stuff.
Okay.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, when I was remembering being Hans, I felt that it's kind of a because it's all you have, and I think if you think about what they're doing to you, then you can't handle it. So you have to think, oh, they're being nice to me, even though it's pain, and that's how you cope with it. That oh, they mean me well. You have to see them in this different light, this rose-colored way, which is weird, isn't it? But you can't survive it, I don't think.
I don't think so either. But it sounds to me like Joseph Mangley knows you like he knows me if you're having this come back to you.
Hmm.
Or we know him in the same way because he put us in those projects.
Yeah.
So
So did he put us in those projects years ago, and then your soul, like, even you have a lifetime and then you die, and then when you come back, you're still in the project? And would that be possible, that you're stuck in it lifetime after lifetime, like a goldfish swimming around a bowl? Would that be possible?
I think so. To be honest, I think so. That they can do that and they have the knowledge to do that.
Jesus. We're going for a break, Holly, so just mute, and it's just a 5-minute break, and I'll be back with you.
You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hi, welcome back, and it's the Christine Joanna Hart Show, and I have my guest, Holly Baglio, and we are discussing the delightful Joseph Mengele. So stay with us, and we'll carry on where we got let off, where we were so rudely interrupted by the adverts. Welcome back, Holly. Can you hear us? Yeah.
yes.
Great. So we were just saying that might it be possible that this Mengele, who created these monarch programs, these control programs, that he has the same people stuck almost in a net that reincarnate lifetime after lifetime and are still that come back to the program again and again? That's horrible thought, isn't it, really?
Yes, it is. But he's in charge of who goes into what projects. I do remember one time, and thanks to Fritz Springmeier's book, because that is helping me take my fragmented memories and piece them back together. I remember Mangley coming out to us children. I forget what was happening to us kids, but we were in some trauma, torture based programming at the time, and Joseph Mangley walked out of the room, and he had a daisy with him, and he goes, "She loves me not. She loves me not." And I remember sitting there thinking, oh boy, please don't pick me. I don't care what you do, Joseph Mangley. I love you anyway, but just don't pick me. And then he got to the part where he gets to the end of the daisy, and he goes, "She loves me not." And he ran over and picked up a kid and yoked him up and started to bring him somewhere. And then my memory cuts out. But I believe that Joseph Mangley determined what project we went into and what happened to us.
Hmm. What does yoked him up mean? What does that
Um,
mean?
I'm sorry. The kid was on the ground, and when Joseph Mangley got to She Loves Me Not, he walked through us children and he grabbed a kid, picked him up off the ground, yoked him, picked him up off the ground, and then he started to carry him off, and my memory cuts out from there.
Hmm.
But that kid was murdered. That was a part of the programming, though, to watch others get murdered.
Yeah, it was like the girl Clara that I remembered, she was killed basically just under one of his experiments, you know? Just I've
Yeah,
always been fascinated by, during my life before I found out about the Monarch Pro, it's fascinating when, these serial killers torture and inject needles and Bianchi. I thought, why did, and I was fascinated even to the point of meeting them when I was a journalist, Brady and Bianchi, to find out why. And now I'm thinking about it. If this dirty little child rapist, torturer had such a kind of impact on me, then I suppose one would be trying to find out, oh, why do people do that? What is going on with them? I mean, God knows what is going on with the people that do that. Do you think they're influenced by him in some kind of way?
indirectly, yes. Indirectly, I mean, unlike you and I, other people, they read books, they get into things, and most of the stuff they read has been influenced by Joseph Mangley. So Joseph Mangley, in my mind, should have been just is standing in front of them at that point. But a lot of these people just get into their own thing. But I didn't explain it well. Forgive me.
No, 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 it's fine. I think a lot of these serial killers have been in programs, and I'm wondering if he's got a program that he invented that does make some of their alters become like him, become these rapist torturers, perhaps. Do you think that's possible?
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I think he made me become like him, and that is why he had to force me to stop being a super soldier. He told me I had to go, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, what would he get out of that? I suppose it's propagating evil, isn't it? Presumably, and more of that being in many different places at one time. Wow,
Yes.
what piece of shit. I mean, this is really someone that's had a massive effect on humanity
Yes.
because if he was linked with the Tavistock, they do control of control of the population, complete control.
Well, he has complete control at this point to decide what happens with people like you and I. That's definite control.
Hmm.
And then the other, I think Joseph Mangley picked, or however we were chosen or picked, he only took people that had spiritual gifts and skills, and the rest of the population, in my mind, gets mesmerized by books like Mein Kampf and occult books. Um, Forgive me, Christine. I'm sorry. I'm giving you a terrible interview.
No, no,
I
no,
keep
no, no,
drawing
you're fine.
blanks.
You're
I'm
fine.
trying.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean that he has deliberately gone for a certain type of person and a certain energy. And I think James Casbolt wrote about that. He called it prime blood or blood prime and said it was um related to the Anunnaki. Have you heard that?
Yes, I have.
Hmm.
Yes. So I think that's why Joseph Mangley had direct contact with people like you and I. But in the masses, they're just mesmerized by it all. They don't understand. They think it's fantastical and cool. But what they don't understand is that there's blood, guts, murder involved. Everybody looks at everything like it's fantastical and oh so cool. So if we don't want to go to Jesus or this one, we can go into Satanism, and well, Satanism will just accept us and Satanism is just fine, but really it's not. Satanism, you do sacrifices and rituals. Joseph Mengele doesn't want those people. I'm sorry to say it, but he doesn't want them. They have no gifts. They're easily influenced. I mean, people get into Satanism and go, oh, well, we can be gay and kiss each other because Satanism will accept us because this is what we want to do. And Satanism will tell us that we're okay. But what they fail to realize is that in Satanism or Freemasonries, all of them, the bottom line is that you do satanic rituals and you do satanic sacrifices. You kill people. It's not okay and it's not cool. Joseph Mengele searched for people like you and I. That's, I think, called Project Looking Glass.
Is it?
Yeah, where they know what's going to happen before you and I were born, Christine. They can look into the future with Project Looking Glass and see what's going to happen. And then they can determine what becomes of your life because of that. So they're only looking for certain people. And that would be you. Sorry. In my mind.
Yeah, I'm quite sorry, I'm just going to write that down because I didn't know that. Project, I haven't heard of that before. It sounds Alice in Wonderland. Is it linked with that?
You know what? I'm not quite sure. I'm still learning, to be honest, but it's Project Looking Glass. I've looked it up on YouTube, but I've also sat on private Google Hangouts with other super soldiers that are not coming forward to the public. And that's what they've been helping me to learn and understand is what happened to me. But Project Looking Glass is used, and they can decide what becomes of us before we're even born.
I'm sick of my life story being about being raped as a child. I mean, why do they do that? Is that just to smash us? I suppose it is, isn't it? It is. It's so we're not powerful, obviously.
As a child, you're innocent. So in that innocence, it's very powerful. And that's why they take it from you. They take your innocence so you don't have a chance to develop into the person you want to become.
Yeah, they said that to me in primal therapy when I did that in LA. One of the therapists, he said, you'll never be the woman you could have been if you weren't, brutalized and raped as a kid, which isn't very nice. And then you think, yeah, you see other people and you see how they get the chance, how they're nurtured as children. They go from blah de blah, they go through their lives. And you think that must be so easy. I honestly think if I had a life like that, I'd be running the country. I honestly think so. If someone just didn't take a baseball bat and really go at me as a kid, because when you're so small like that, it really does, it just colors your whole life. You don't ever get over it because you see the light, you see the world in a completely different way because you've been visited by evil as a child. So you look out of the world and that it's kind of fake, all the candy coating on everything, that it's fake. And that lurking behind that is this profound and really strong supernatural evil. So then when you meet other people who have just had this, candy kisses life, you kind of feel as if you've got nothing in common with the average normal person because you've kind of seen more than they have and more than they have, so you can't really relate to them on another level. So it kind of pushes you outside the sort of hologram, so you can't really enjoy the fairground rides like everybody else because you think, well, this is just delusion. The real thing is the dark. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that's why I resided so much in the darkness for so long of my life, because that was the only thing that felt normal. Other people in this world couldn't understand me. if I would talk about things, oh, it's in your head. No, it's not.
Yeah.
You're listening to this world and this reality. I'm trying to tell you something else. And I guess we can thank Joseph Mengele for all that programming. I'm sorry. But that's exactly how I felt as a kid, the same as you, Christiane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrible. It really is. I didn't know about that Project Looking Glass. I will look into it.
I can also give you names of people on a sidebar that have been helping me to understand that too, if you have trouble.
Oh, great. What they talk to me as well.
Yes, but not live on air.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, no. I'm doing this, I suppose, to help others. That's why I was a bit, cross when there's trolling underneath the video. Did you see it or you didn't read it?
No, I didn't read it. I'm sorry. I only have you on Skype right now. So,
Oh, I'm glad you didn't read it. No, it's just bitching underneath the video I hung of you on YouTube. Just it's ridiculous. Oh, she's not a super soldier and you're not either. And for God's, who cares about that silly name? I mean, I sometimes use it because I know it annoys other people.
yes, right? I don't want to be called SRA. I don't want to be called DID, MPD, or your other labels or anybody else's labels. I'll take super soldier because I feel like what we've been through, Christine, it
We
takes a
deserve a
soldier to
little guard
survive.
up bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to communicate with that part of me that had been through that, the gosh, I can't remember the hands. And, I thought, the most thing that comes out of me is the utter bravery to go through that, brave, massive bravery. So if someone's just going to say super soldier, I'm going to take it. I don't care who is going to get all giddy and upset about it and, all this shit. Oh, you've never met the real IRA. I live in England and for a long, long time I lived in Belfast and I dated a boy from Northern Ireland and his father was in the IRA and I lived there and I was working for the News of the World. So of course I'm going to meet the UDA leaders, which I did, and I was really attracted to one of them called John White, and we nearly got together. And of course, when I met the IRA guys, and then predominantly the real IRA, um, I was attracted there to them. I mean, that was probably my programming, and I don't know whether it was a mission or not, just kind of spy on them. But now looking back, it feels like it probably was. But I take exception to somebody who hears that and gets all, gussied up and, thinks that I've made out I was bloody James Bond. I was shagging Lovey. And actually, any girl you now could get on a plane, go to Belfast, go in a pub, and sleep with a real irate commander. It's not an impossible, clever thing to do. Any woman can do it as long as they're not bad looking. I mean, those guys will have anything. No, I'm just
I'm
joking.
single. Don't give me ideas. I'm just teasing.
And then we get slagged off by someone going, oh, no, no, you're lying. I mean, why
Well,
would you bother?
they want all super soldiers and black operatives to, be these big, bulky men chewing on a cigar and spitting stuff and talking,
But it comes from
man
other
talk.
people. It comes from other people who believe that they've been in these programs. And if they've really been in these programs, what all they would think of is a sexual abuse. And all they would think of is that they've been ruined by that sexual abuse. And they would try and get healing from it. They really wouldn't care about any silly labels and names. But these people who say they've been in the projects themselves, all they care about is like, oh, you didn't do that. I did. I'm the one. I mean, bloody hell,
Right?
I can't believe it. All I want to do is to function and to like function to not, I mean, I'm getting on a bit and I'm thinking, what am I here to do? Am I just going to die? as some kind of schmuck who was used by the Vatican and used all their life and wasn't paid, so I'll probably die in poverty. And is that my life story? Like, I'm a sort of piece of toilet paper that someone's wiped their ass on. And now I find out it's Joseph Mengele, a dirty child rapist that has wiped his ass on me. I don't want to take my last breath knowing that that is what I am. I want to do something, and I don't know what it is that needs to be done. I know what I feel like doing right now. I mean, if I could get hold of that piece of shit in some kind of way,
Yeah.
I would really like to destroy them. But even when I think about it now, it's like saying you just want to destroy like black goo or AI, it's not going to happen. It will just like reform, won't it? It's you can't destroy that, I don't think.
I don't think so either. Joseph Manglio keep coming back.
Yeah, because he's just not a human. That's a different creature. That really is a different creature. It's not human.
Especially a guy that can come to you while you're sleeping in the astral plane and stay with you for weeks. No, that's not normal and that's not right. And that's not the way you're supposed to live life. And what saddens me is that the normal, average, everyday person has a dream at night and they wake up in the morning and they think that it's their mind working out problems and they're just sleeping. And God forbid if they have sleep paralysis, that's just a medical problem to go to a doctor for. What they fail to realize is that their dreams are either their spiritual gifts and those gifts are working and they should take heed to it, or their dreams are real, live, lived events from their past, and they are hypnotized and programmed not to remember, the same way I was hypnotized by Mangli. And people just pass all of that off. And the sad part is when you go to sleep and you dream, you're meeting people in the astral plane. So every time you go to sleep, you go to the astral plane. And what happens there is real and it does manifest into your own life. And people need to take their dreams or nightmares when they go to sleep at night very seriously, because that tells them everything that they need to know. And sometimes, when I get sick, the first thing I do is go to sleep because I know I can recover myself while I'm sleeping. Just put me to bed. I'll sleep for 5 days. I don't care. Just let me go to sleep. I can cure my physical body by that. But normal people just pass off their dreams like it's, oh, no big deal.
Hmm.
But it is a big deal. It's
Hmm.
a very big deal.
I think probably tonight, especially, when I've now spoken to you and shaken up my head, and, last night, I don't think that I'll just be slipping off to sleep. And I hate that. I don't know if you ever have it where you get what James Bartley, that's it, James Bartley, calls astral detention, when you try and sleep, but they take your consciousness and they sort of take it wherever they want it to go. And next thing you're seeing things that aren't coming from your head.
Yes, I believe that still happens to me to this day, and I keep trying to fight against it.
It's not great because you're not sleeping and you're trying to get off to sleep, but they're not going to let it happen. I hate that shit. I really do.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
you often see things that are like appalling,
Yeah. Oh my Lord. Oh yes. I have horrible nightmares. I can't stand it. It feels like I'm right there. Uh, I'll go to sleep and then all of a sudden my dreams will go from, pleasant or just me resting to them throwing me off a building. There's other nights where I can't go to sleep. I literally forget how to sleep
Mm.
and I can't lay down. I can't close my eyes. I can't sit there for 30 minutes. So I think that's other people influencing me.
Well, it's probably, yeah, these other people that have been in the programs and they see a radio program and they get all gussied up and jealous and then they go off to attack people. I mean, Sarah Adams made me aware that people are doing that left, right, and center. And what the hell? It's just totally ridiculous.
Yes, they do that. That's, I feel, part, like, this is no offense to you, but I've been laid up for a couple of weeks now, but you and I did an interview the other week, and I feel that we were attacked by other people because I gave you my testimony and you put it up. I feel like they try to keep us separated because, God forbid, us super soldiers get together and we start talking about what happened, like you and I are doing now,
Hmm.
but in a group setting. If all of us got together,
Yes.
we'd be able to figure out a whole bunch of stuff.
No, it'd be awesome.
That's why they keep us separated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is because do you know what? When I didn't know about any of this, and I'd written two books. One was a bestseller. The second one didn't sell so well, and it was only when I was on Fritz Springmeier's Facebook page talking about. I was only there because of aliens. I didn't have anything to do with mind control. And this woman, an American woman called Anna, read my book and said, "Oh, you're a mind control victim." And I remember thinking, "Oh, that's a load of nutty stuff." And she put me in this group. And it was when I was talking to this other girl called Louise, even though I thought, oh, I shouldn't be in here, but I'm just doing it to please this woman. She seems really nice. And I got talking to this other girl called Louise, and she'd gone through the same as me, and all of a sudden she was saying things that were kind of shaking up my head. And then you become more aware and more aware, and it's like it's quite amazing actually the effect on talking to someone else does. I don't know why, because it's almost not even what they're saying, it's the energy. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had that happen to me. I've had people reach out to me and go, Holly, you were a part of the secret space program and this is what you did and the other thing. And I'm like, wait a minute. I need a moment. But it's like you writing a book and someone identifying what happened to you.
Hmm.
So it's hard when someone tries to identify with me to help me recall my memories. It's awkward. I'm like,
Hmm.
no, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm fine.
Hmm.
I'm right here in my bedroom.
Well, I'm so glad that that woman did it to me. It set me on a whole journey. I mean, I met Miles Johnson and other people, and I met Douglas Dietrich, and I got the radio show. So it's just completely turned my life around completely from the path I was on. So it's had just a gigantic life-changing effect on me. I just think, God, what if she hadn't have come along and told me about this? It's weird, but it's like we've woken up and you kind of think, what do we do with it? There must be something, there must be a point to all this, not just doing radio shows where we talk about it and, it does help other people that have been through it. Other people get envious but I mean, I'm wondering what it achieves and what the way forward is and what we can do really.
Well, see, I guess I am a hopeless romantic and an idealist. I would love for all of these radio shows that you do and all of these people you've bumped into and everybody I've bumped into, if all of us could come together, we can take them down. We can take down the elites and the excuse me, let me start again. We can take down the 13 Illuminati families, and then we can take down the elites of the Bilderberg group, and then we will have control of our world back.
Hmm.
So,
Well, that would be
you should,
good. Do you
yeah.
mean attack them in the astral?
Yes, as well as this real world, because the projects that you and I were subject to are still ongoing now, and our children are subject to those projects. So everybody out there that's listening to this, if you have a child and you disbelieve Christine and I, that's sad because you're not protecting your child enough. we have to protect our children. And that's the point of all this. And if we all get together and stop them, they don't have children, they don't have their food supply, and they will cease to exist.
Hmm. I do feel ready to fight. I mean, I do. I mean, just learning about that guy and, you know, feeling him, I would like to fight. I really do feel that I'm ready. It's knowing what to do and how to do it. I just think that Satanism, that dark, whatever it is, that dark energy, it's just got such a grip like never before on the planet. I really do.
Yes.
It's
Well, maybe the sad part is we have Satanism and the Satanists are winning. And then we have a bunch of Christians, or we have a bunch of people that consider themselves Christians.
hmm,
Let's say that they consider themselves Christians. They need to start praying because their prayers have weight in the astral world. Their prayers can help us. And even if they don't have spiritual gifts to see what I'm saying, they need to know that their prayers count. But these backslid Christians are like 80% of the population here in America that go, oh, yeah, I love Jesus, but I'm going to go to work. And when I come home, I watch my TV. Oh, but all this super soldier stuff is nonsense. Our government wouldn't do that to us. Our world's not going to collapse and die. We're just fine.
hmm.
I lost my train of thought.
No, you're talking about prayer, and I think it's good because the woman that I saw tonight, the past life regressionist, I came home, I laid on the bed, and I had a cry, feeling what that boy went through. I was just going through it in my head, and I was crying to get out the tension and the memories. And I picked up on her, and I picked up on her that she was praying for me, and I just thought that's great because I could actually feel it, and I could feel that because I told her about the boy. I could feel she was praying for the boy. And it really did help it because people praying for you, it's like they melt the ice. I mean, this frequency, the dark frequency, is like an ice, and prayer does kind of melt it. And, you know, you can melt people's hearts, you can melt ice around them, and it does affect. I think it's very underrated now. It's probably the dark side obviously has done that, that prayer is
Right. Well, the dark side, what I feel like to be condescending to the dark side, what the dark side did was take away us praying for each other, us reaching out to each other, giving each other a hug, or just phone calling each other, even during an argument. What the dark side did was take away our personal connections of doing that. And it replaced it with Facebook so you can like, smile, heart, or be angry at someone else's post, but
mm,
you never have that human contact. So, in that, it makes you feel like a robot. And if you're a robot, that's AI. You know, you're disassociating in that way. You know, people get on the Facebook and that's where they get everything, but they don't reach out to real people and sit there and actually talk and hang out, or go to see someone. So I feel that's what the dark side took away from us, was our personal contact and our personal communication outside of the internet.
yeah, that's true, isn't it? And I have a lot of friends that, well, obviously, I do like people from other countries quite a lot. So, but I do have a lot of friends that I talk to on Skype now. And yeah, I don't, only have one or two that I actually see in person. And yeah, you kind of do. You kind of think, yeah, I'd like to sort of have a beer with somebody and, you know, be able to hang with them and not always have that it's like, you know, Skype conversations and stuff because it's yeah, it's not right, is it? Because then you think, what happened if the internet went down? You wouldn't have them anymore.
Right. I'll be honest, Christine. All of my friends are like in Canada, the UK, Australia, Scotland, Romania, other countries.
Mm,
Here in America, I've met some people, but they're on the other side of the country or very distant. So, yeah, if we had an EMP attack, I would be down and out
Mm,
because online is my spiritual family.
mm. Whereabouts do you live?
I live in New Jersey in the
Oh,
United
near
States.
New York, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I love New York. New York is great.
It is nice. I lived in New York. It's awesome. I lived in Harlem. Can you believe it?
Really?
Yeah.
No way. I used to travel into Harlem and people would say, "Oh, you're a crazy white girl." I'm like, "Why am I crazy? I'm just around other people.
Mm.
I'm not bringing them bad. I'm not fronting them." Um, Here in America, if you say you're fronting someone, that means that you're trying to put on a hard, kick ass type of persona when really inside you're a gentle heart. But I was like, I'll go into Harlem. That's not a problem. I have friends there. I hang out with them. We talk about going fishing all the time. I keep asking them to come out to New Jersey and they won't. And it's just that I wasn't fronting them. I put my heart out there and I just showed them who I was.
Oh, they're nice, aren't they? Harlem has
Yeah.
its own flavor. I shared a flat with a black guy and a white girl, and I used to work in a bar on 50th and Broadway, and then I used to finish at 4 in the morning, get I think it was the subway or a bus or something, and then I used to walk from one side of Harlem to the other. And it was weird being young blonde. I just think maybe they thought I was a police plant or something. They didn't come near me. But I did get mugged. I think I was there for about 6 months, and then these two black guys got me on the stairs and mugged me. But interestingly, that morning, I was leaving my apartment where I was living with this black guy and this model, and something was telling me to take all my money out of my handbag and empty my handbag of my passport and leave it in my bedroom. And I thought to myself, no, 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 I never lose my bag. But I was trying to get out of the apartment to go to my job. And again, this like thought form was going, no, 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 empty your bag, empty. You're going to lose your bag. You're going to lose your bag. And I was kind of speaking back to it, going, I never lose my bag. I am going out. And it was so nagging me in my head. I thought, okay, I'll do it. So I took about $20. I emptied, because I used to carry a lot of cash around with me, put my cash under the mattress, got all my makeup out of my handbag, my passports, put it in my drawers, and went out with an empty handbag. And I think I weighed it down with a big jar of Nivea cream. And I went
Nice.
out. I went out and I did my job in the bar, came back, got this cab back, and I thought the cab driver was a bit weird. Went into my apartment and there was these two black guys, and they kind of followed me up to just about to go in the front door, and they grabbed me. One of them grabbed me from behind. He put his hand down my jeans, trying to sort of touch me. He kind of got halfway there. He kind of grabbed me around the neck. The other one grabbed my bag. Then the one who had me from behind threw me against the wall and went running off with my handbag. And I had forgotten that I'd emptied out the handbag. And all I could think of, that my makeup, I had quite expensive makeup. And I shouted down the stairs after them, take the money out of my bag, take the cash, and please leave the handbag, leave my makeup. And one of them just looked up at me and then ran off. And I got in the apartment, I was sobbing and crying, and this black guy I was living with was comforting me. And I ran this boyfriend I had back in England. I said, pay for my ticket. All my money is stolen, my makeup, my bag. And I was hysterical. And I went to my room at the back and I thought, whoa, hang on. They've got nothing. And I almost couldn't believe it. And I looked under my mattress. There was all my cash, my passport. They took nothing.
Nice.
They got my big, dirty, big jar of Nivea.
Nice. Nice.
I
I
know.
am so glad you listened to that second voice.
Mm.
That is so great to hear. I always did my worst damage to myself when I never listened to that second voice like you did.
Yeah, I didn't want to, but boy, it was nagging me. So I thought, okay, just as long as you shut up, I'll leave it there. And it saved. I had a lot of cash. I think it was about $600, and it was all I had. And Yeah, but I didn't even believe it. I was like looking at it and thinking, I can't even believe that they didn't get anything. Not even my makeup. I mean, they just got some sort of scuzzy old handbag that was due for the knackers. Yeah. I almost felt sorry for them, you know. They put all that effort into it, you know, and they'd run off and they thought they've got this massive booty and they got nothing. What a shame for them.
Christine, did you ever think that maybe that incident was a setup to kind of shut you up or to scare you by any chance? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a while ago. It did kind of, it made me leave New York. I did. I mean, my boyfriend, you know, he rang me back. I didn't bother telling everyone that, oh, you know, I've got my cash here. And he said, I've got your ticket. I've paid for your ticket. Come back now. So I just kind of went back. So, yeah, it was odd. It didn't really seem to scare me. I didn't scare that much in those days, you know? I don't know why.
wow, I scare much in these days now, but I'm an old woman, so
I scare, and you're not old at all. I scare, yeah, I scare, and it's kind of scary as you get, you know, as you get older, and you think, I want my life to make sense, and you know, and then you think of other people that have got their shit together money wise as you get older, and you think, oh, I haven't done that, and that's worrying. It is quite scary in this 3D, definitely.
yes, it is.
Yeah, really. Gosh, when you're younger, everything makes sense. And then I think the more you wake up, the more you think, I don't know. The more you see, the more you think, I don't know. You know, it's strange. I was watching a film DVD on YouTube called The Age of Deceit. And gosh, that's just such a good name, isn't it, for this age?
Yeah,
That
that's exactly what we're in is deceit.
mm, it's just like smoke screens and mirrors just completely everywhere. And unless you're sort of wrapped into that dream of, you know, just going through the motions, keeping your head down, following the rules, you know, you don't really see it. It's almost I always feel envious of people like that have that. But I suppose once they leave this level, they're going to be pretty much in a shock. Whereas we won't be in a shock when we leave this level. We'll just kind of know our way around, you know?
Yes,
So it's probably luckier because this life is so temporary, isn't it? Just like bang and it's gone.
yes, it is very much temporary. And everybody thinks that this world is permanent and
I know. Time just goes really, really fast. It's amazing. It
yeah,
goes so fast. I mean, my son now, he's a teenager and he's getting on, he's getting bigger, he's getting to that stage, you know, where he finds me a bit boring. And I just think, you know, the time when I had him when he was a baby and he thought, you know, I was so fantastic. And you know, I see some mothers and they're going out to work. They don't have to go out to work and they just leave their kids. And you know, we only have them for a short, really space of time. Although you kind of they still remain your children. You don't really have them. You have them for that short little period when they're like babies and when they're young children, and then when they get to the teenagers, really, they're more or less out the door, you know, and you're sort of back on your own again, you know.
yes. I don't have children, but if I had a child, I would just stay with it until it was 18, until it was old enough to
Mm,
do what it wanted. And if someone came along and said, well, you got to go to work, I'd be like, I have a child. So
mm.
maybe it's better I'm not a mom because I would not surrender to this world. I would stay with my kid. I had babysitters growing up, and it always bothered my grandma. I understand that nowadays two people have to work. You have to put your child into um, daycare, and it costs a lot. But sometimes it's better just to stay home. When I was in
Yeah.
daycare, those kids, boy, those kids used to beat me up. When I was in nursery school,
Mm,
I would come home. I remember this too. Before kindergarten, I'd go to school or to nursery school, and the kids would just beat me up. They would grab me under my arms and like start spinning around in a circle. So my legs were flying out and around us. And then until they couldn't stop spinning any, or until they, fell over from spinning us, they'd fall over. I would come home with bruises and ribs. I really
Horrid.
wish more parents would stay home with their kids. And it really sucks that we have a world where two parents need to work, that our children can't stay home with their parents. That's most important. That's where you get your love, your nurturing. That's where you feel safe and sound. And when that's taken away, you don't have anything in your adulthood.
Mm.
So my biological mother, well, she gave birth to me is what I can say about her. Everything else after that is not nice, mean, and nasty. And
Mm.
she had every chance to stay home with me. She had the money to stay home. She was well funded, even as a single mother. But instead, she went out to do drugs and be with other men. So that's what happened to me.
Yeah, a lot of the mothers in well-to-do areas, they sort of, think that they're missing out if they don't go out to work. And it's a shame, because I think, well, they're leaving their kids, and they're not always going to be there.
Yeah, exactly. But, even there's parents, both parents that work and their kids in daycare, but when they can come home from work, they are very much present with their children. I don't mean to bash them or anything like that. I understand. It's just you need to hang out with your kids. And adults don't do that anymore. They push them off onto video games. They say, oh, wait, let me put Nickelodeon or the Disney Channel on the television for you. And that can babysit you, because I'd rather be on the phone doing something else,
Mm.
so.
But then they've missed out, because they grow up and they grow away, and they've missed that window, and that window is the window of connection, and that's all you've got, really. If they miss that, then that's it, really. It's curtains,
Yeah.
I think. So
Well,
it's just, sorry.
you're a great mom,
Oh,
Christine,
thank
so don't
you.
worry about any of that.
Oh, thank you. My son said that to me the other day. He said, "Oh, Mum, you're such a great parent."
You are. I can see that from here.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. No,
What
thank you, Christine.
one thing I've done right? I was just looking at our video, so it's got 618 views. Well, that's quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 28 thumbs up. So just one thumbs down. And it's odd, it's got comments. It's got comments one, but then lots of comments, and there's a little bit of bitching. Oh, there's some nice people. It said, "So proud of you, Holly, for showing truth to the world." That's from Galen Grounds. That's nice, isn't it? And then someone else saying, "Good interview." And then there's a little bit of bitching I noticed from a few people. Someone called exposing the fakes, and they get really stuck in. And
Uh,
then when nobody ignores
that
them,
is, I don't mean to cut you off, but the name you just said,
mm,
exposing the fakes, that is my troll. Galen Grounds is a father figure to me.
oh, that's lovely. Oh, and so that guy, is it a guy, or is it a guy, or they've got a really horrid picture? Is that a guy or a girl, your troll?
Exposing the fakes, I think it's a girl, but I'm not quite sure. It's
Oh,
a
right.
troll.
So,
It's a troll. I had to block them on my own YouTube channel. I've had to block them on Google Plus. Exposing the fakes is not exposing anything. It's just
I know.
trying to rattle us people that are like people like you and I that are trying to come forward. So it's a troll.
Yeah, I thought so. I don't know why, I don't know why. And there's another girl called Amy Wood, and she is really getting stuck in as well.
Okay, well, I can speak to her. I won't say her name. Yes, she is a troll. Her and I used to be friends.
Oh, really? She's got a giant
Oh, yeah.
cat, a giant fluffy cat as her picture. Oh, so you used to be friends.
Yes. Yeah, oh, yes, we used to be good friends. And then she started making fun of me about my super soldier testimony.
Oh, I see. Oh, you were friends that bonded over in another area of things, yeah?
Yeah, we bonded. We were doing Google Hangouts, and the Hangouts I have sometimes will have like a Friday night where everybody on the panel will share music or a video and come together and just talk about things, trying to blow off steam. I don't go out into the public. I prefer to live reclusive. I prefer to stay away from everybody. I've been a part of too many projects and had too many hands on me to go around anyone nowadays. But we used to get on Google Hangouts, and I used to be her friend. She is not a person I will ever associate myself again with, is that woman you just spoke of. She
Hmm.
made fun of me. She put me down. She's betrayed me. And she's not nice to anyone. She makes you think you're her friend, and then she turns around and harasses you and calls you names. And, but, I'm sorry, forgive me. I don't want to bring up all that internet stuff, between he said, she said stuff. Forgive me, Christine.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's just I wonder, why it goes on. It's just it's tiring, and you just think, gosh, must I put up with reading it? It's so negative because we're trying to get to the bloody truth and to sort of, be bothered with little things. It's almost like you sort of creating something and you've done a sort of big painting and you're thinking, okay, what does the painting mean? And let's have a look at it. And there's someone sort of picking at the frame and saying, oh, look, the frame over there, there's not a bit of varnish. And you think, piss off, really, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people like that woman should stop falling down vodka bottles. They should stop feeling bad about themselves. They should get up off their ass and do something worthy.
Mm,
Instead, they sit on here and troll the internet and try to put good women down like you and I. And that's sad because someone like Amy Wood, and God forbid this video gets flagged because I said her name, someone like her will not look around to her area to say, oh, maybe this person needs help, or maybe I can do that, this or the other thing.
mm,
Instead,
mm,
she looks around for people to abuse, and that's sad.
mm, mm.
She neglects to realize that, like, 1 in 5 or 1 in 6, I forget the statistics, are super soldiers like me. So 1 out of 5 or 6 of her friends is a super soldier, but instead she would rather pick on me and bash me. And,
Mm. And
you know, I'm,
of course, society has been affected by it as well. So, most people in society have had bits of them shaved off through trauma in schools and stuff like that. I mean, God knows what they're being used for as well. So, it's been played out on the masses, albeit in a watered down way.
yeah, yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, golly, I don't know. I was trolled for ages by some guy. He's currently in prison. I don't know if he's going to come out, but this guy, I mean, it was really tiresome. Every time he came near, even if he was using different guises, I knew it was him. And he had this really dark energy. And, I had to ask help from people to deal with his energy. It was really satanic, These people are often possessed.
yes, they are. They are. One moment they're nice, and the next moment they flip, and it's like, wait a minute, what happened? I don't know how to handle that.
And a lot of people, I found they, sometimes bring people out. I mean, if I get too nasty, I mean, those comments were so pathetic. They was just, I thought they were funny, so I let them sit there. But if it's just because they showed themselves up. But if it's anything really bad, I will, delete it. I'll get rid of it. I just sat here just now and got deleted some of those. And but sometimes, like Richie Allen, for instance, I went on Richie Allen's show, talked about things, and they leave you open to getting slapped about. I mean, I was lucky; there were some good people there underneath, and they were sticking up for me if anybody did slap me about. But it is hard when you give an interview; you feel quite raw, and it's nice if the person you're giving the interview to make sure you're protected and don't get slapped about,
Yeah. Well, that one woman you mentioned, she's a troll, so don't worry about that. I have
Oh,
trolls all over the place. They follow me, and I'm sorry that they landed on your page, Christine. I didn't mean to bring any trouble to your doorstep.
oh no, don't worry.
I got haters.
Oh, don't worry. It's only lightweight. I mean, I just thought it's funny. This funny. The girl Amy, she's got a cat. She's quite catty, and she's got a big fluffy cat as her.
If you saw her, she probably looks like that cat. Sorry.
I know. So, oh gosh. So yeah, don't worry. I mean, my comments are on approved. So I, only put them through. I allow a few negative ones because I think it's nice to have a mix. But I always reply to them, like, what's your problem? So I don't believe in, letting people be trolled mercilessly. It's just it's not great. So we're coming to the end of the show. We've just got 4 minutes left. So yeah, I'd like to thank you, Holly, for coming back on. Here we go. We're getting sounded out. Thanks very much.
Christine, I hope that I did good for you. I love you so much, Christine.
Oh, thank you. You've cheered me up. I feel yeah, happy. Thanks, Holly, and God bless. Have a good rest of the evening.
You too. God bless.
God bless. And thanks everyone for listening, and have a good week. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.